again, and you may have noticed on my Facebook page I posted our Sunday night dinner is going to be chicken cordon bleu. I had posted this recipe several weeks ago and I had so many responses to it that I thought I'd do a little cooking video for you guys. It's a super easy recipe, really popular with the family, and I thought, what the heck, we're having it tonight, I'd share it with you guys. So what we're going to first start off with is you want about 6-ounce fillets of chicken breasts, boneless, skinless, about 6 ounces each, pre-cooked weight. You're going to put 3 tablespoons of almond flour in a dish, and you're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt in the breading there. Okay. While that sets, we're going to turn on this electric skillet to about 350, and we're going to spray it with some olive oil, Pam, or cooking spray, whatever you have on hand. And we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of butter. I just happen to have some Land O'Lakes garlic butter I gotta use up. What's nice is this is a cookie scooper, but it is a tablespoon measurement. So that kind of worked out really easy for me, really nice and simple. We're gonna set that aside. And then as that begins to melt, we are going to take our chicken and we're going to dredge it in this almond flour. It's super easy, and it just creates a nice light breading. I am going to use a plate here for when it's done being dredged. And we're going to have some leftover flour. That's part of the recipe. Alrighty, so we're just going to coat these up real quick. You can hear that butter sizzle. Oh, it smells so good. Melted butter. Always a nice addition to just about any recipe. You never want to use much butter, but on occasion it's okay to use it. Alright, and then this is our last chicken breast here. There we go. As you can see, it gets a little tougher to get the breading on the chicken when we're getting down to the dregs here. But I think we got it breaded lightly enough. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to swirl this butter around. And then the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So you got the butter, and you got this other healthy fat here. And we're just gonna let that heat up. And now we're ready to put our chicken breasts in to start browning them. So here they go. Oh, the sizzle. Because this is a garlic butter, normally we don't want to mess with the condiments like that, but I had to use up some stuff. We're going to let that brown on one side for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to turn it over. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this because I have a couple pieces that are a little bit thicker than I normally like. We're going to make the Dijon sauce. So with that, we've got 2/3 cup of low-fat, low-sodium chicken broth, and you're going to need 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. That's the secret of the Dijon. Okay, and then you're going to want a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. Always use fresh. It does make a difference. The taste is significantly better. There we go. Set that over here. And then you're going to take the rest of your flour and you're going to enter that into your broth here, your sauce, because that's going to be the key ingredient, help with the thickening agent. Okay. Now, some of you may already know I have a nice little secret weapon when it comes to thickening agents. We try to really stay away from flour as much as possible. Almond flour obviously is a nice alternative, but it's loaded with carbs, and obviously for other reasons we've got people that have gluten issues. So I do use xanthan gum. Now the recipe doesn't call for xanthan, but I have found that just a little smidgen of the xanthan, about a 1/16 of a teaspoon to an 1/8 of a teaspoon, does a really nice job thickening up the sauce. It's not too thick, but otherwise it has a tendency to get a little runny. So here is our very simple Dijon sauce. And now we're ready to flip the chicken breasts. And you can see there's a really nice golden crust there. And we're going to let this cook for a few more minutes. About another 2. There we go. And we're going to get all this mess out of the way. Our next step will be to, as we thicken up the sauce, we're going to set aside the chicken breast and let it rest for a few minutes. And then we're going to stir up the sauce and get that going. And then we're going to do the assembly and then let it just simmer. While that's happening, we'll throw some green beans in a pot of boiling salted water. I find these have been really some of my favorite things, is you get the fresh green beans in these packets. They're washed and trimmed and ready to go. Normally I keep all my back stock of produce in our garage refrigerator, but it's been so cold here in Minnesota. I think we had negative 32 degrees one day. My green beans froze in the fridge out there, so I just kept them frozen. I figured I'd just blanch them in the hot water and then add a little garlic seasoning on it. We're good to go. So we'll cook those up. They don't take long, about 3 minutes. So we'll add that to our boiling water when the sauce is finished thickening and we're ready to put the chicken back in. All right, the timer just went off. So we're just putting the chicken on the plate and let it rest. It's not done cooking yet, but it's time to start making the sauce, heating that up and getting that ready to go. So I always like to set this on a plate. And then you're gonna take, because this is a Teflon pan, I have to use a rubber coated lid. So now we're gonna add the sauce. Oh, you can hear that sizzle. All right. And we're gonna whisk this up and let it simmer for a few minutes. Do want to turn the heat down to medium-high because it'll get too hot then. And we're gonna whisk this for about 2 minutes. Get it a good simmer, let it start thickening up. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, I just love Dijon. All right, where are we going? We got another minute on that. What I already did was, you want to use light Swiss cheese. You can get the low fat, not fat free. You want low fat sliced Swiss cheese. And I also found, of course I got both of these at Target. They have the best selection for your low fat cheeses. But I also found a really nice deli ham there. It's Black Forest ham. It's uncured and it's low sodium. And you're gonna want 4 thin slices. That's why you're starting with a smaller chicken fillet, is because you're adding on a cheese and a little more protein with the meat. So you don't wanna overdo it on your proteins. And we're just about there. It's smelling so good. I think we're just about ready. We have 10 seconds left. I think we're fine. Now we're gonna put the chicken back in. And because these pieces are thicker, it's nicer if you had thinner pieces like this, but unfortunately some of my chicken was a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be. I'm gonna cook it covered for about 3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna start melting everything on top. So I will get back to you as soon as we're finished with that. Hey everyone, okay, we're back. I let it cook a little longer because they were thicker pieces. And now I'm placing the ham on top of the chicken breasts, like so. They fit just beautifully for this size. And now you're gonna wanna put your cheese on top of that. I like folding it in half so you get the full meltiness on top of the chicken versus it sliding off into the pan and you're losing all that cheesy goodness, as we like to call it here. There you go. And we're going to set the timer again once we get this cheese and ham on for another 2 to 3 minutes or until the cheese melts. And then we're gonna take the chicken, put it in a covered dish, and then we'll get the sauce pretty thick and pour it over. And I already put frozen green beans in my pot, trying to get it boiling again. So they should all be done pretty much at the same time. So I'll come back at you once everything's finished. All right, well, it's been a few minutes and we now have a really nice cheesy melt going here. So I'm going to transfer this chicken into a covered dish, and I'm going to finish up making this sauce, and I will pour it over it. Oh, don't those look beautiful? Just gorgeous. And what I love is when you get a caramelized cheese, you get that nice brown cheesy goodness. And I just like whisking this up a little bit more. You're going to get some nice brown cheese. And then we're just going to go ahead and pour that on top of our... Oh wow, the cheese really created a crust. So that's pretty interesting. And so then we're going to pour the sauce over each piece. This one's a little browner than the last time I made it because the cheese managed to create a nice cooked crust, which I just think is so yummy. All right, and then you're just gonna put a little sprinkle of parsley. If you have fresh parsley, that's really nice. But like I've said before, winter in Minnesota, we use dried herbs a lot of times. And so that is our dinner.